My name's Angus. My goal is to emulate tones using the stock plugins within Ableton. This way, they become more accessible for the average person. Today, we're going to be covering the live version of Dream Police by Mk.gee. I tried to replicate it as best as possible, so it's not going to be perfect, but I think it turned out quite good, and could be used for any Mk.gee style songs that you're thinking of making. Before we get started, it's important to note that the tuning for this is A standard. I played this on a 6-string guitar, which I honestly wouldn't recommend, but sometimes you have to make do with what you've got. So first, here's the dry signal, with absolutely no effects on it. And after quite a lot of poking around, here's all the effects I added, and this is how it sounds. Normally I would say it's okay to just take note of what you hear within the song, but when a tone is as complicated as this, it's normally better to do some research first and really figure out what they're using. So Mk.gee uses a Fender Jaguar, a baritone one. It has thick flat wound strings on it, which give it a really warm sound. He also will normally play into a Tascam 424 or a 414 Portastudio cassette deck. This way he can use its preamps for saturation and distortion. And his playing is all dynamic, so the harder he plays the strings, the more distorted it's going to be, and it softens up when he starts playing lightly. This setup is often enhanced by a Roland VG8 synth system as well. Now obviously your average person isn't going to have these things, and with Mk.gee's popularity taking off in the last few years, these things have gone up in price a lot. So it's nice to know that the sort of rough tone can be achieved using stock stuff in Ableton. So, what do we need to add in? First of all, a compressor at the start, so that we have a more consistent signal to work with. We'll definitely need some EQ, although I feel like it's going to be quite an unconventional EQ setup that we have today. Definitely a limiter to enhance the dynamics in our playing. And in the way of effects, a flanger and probably a chorus to help achieve the synthy sound that Mk.gee gets on his guitar. We'll definitely need to add in a distortion, one that also really highlights our dynamics in the playing. A big reverb as well to make the sound even larger, and potentially a sort of gentle compressor at the end to tie it all off. First I added in the mildly aggressive compressor. I actually didn't need to alter any of the settings on this. It works very well for what we're going for. I added an EQ8 after this. It does look a little bit strange, but the tone is very prominent in the mid-range and doesn't really have a lot of anything else. So it does make sense in context with the song. Next was the limiter, and I chose the fast limiter for this. I ended up increasing the input gain and the release time to really highlight the dynamics in the track. I also brought the ceiling down a considerable amount so that the limiter was acting more often. I then added in the warm flanger. This one's pretty self-explanatory. Now the tone is starting to sound more like a synth than a guitar. Next I added in the Clair distortion. This one really does sound like you're running a preamp very hot, so it works very well for the sound. It also gets more aggressive the harder you play the strings, which again is exactly what we're after. I then added in the warm chorus ensemble, just to space the sound out even more. We need a big reverb for this sound, and I chose the wooden room. It adds such nice depth and space to the sound and really enhances the synth thing that we're going for. The settings that I used for this are on the screen now. And lastly, to tie it all off, I added in the gentle squeeze compressor. It just helps to highlight the difference in dynamics when you're playing, and also really highlights the low end that kind of gets lost when you add the other effects in. And there you go. I think that's a pretty good replication of the Dream Police live recording tone. It's not perfect, but considering we used stock plugins within Ableton, it's pretty good. It also gives you a good idea of what to use when you want to make that kind of sound for your own songs, if you're trying to make something that sounds like Mk.gee. Support the Patreon at the link in the description, and you'll get priority requests on new videos. I'm also working on creating files where you can download the tones for yourself. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.